So I've not heard much about the PSD and its impact on the remittances space. What is that relevant to?
Right, well, there's the creation of this new organisational title called the Payment Institution. And will basically mean that the role of the remittance service provider, a Western Union or MoneyGram type of business, will now need to become far more formalised for all people who transfer money cross-border within the EU. So there's some more regulation, there's more consumer protection comes in, which of course has an impact on remitters and the people who are sending money. But there's also an opportunity for businesses because they'll be able to passport their licence from their home country to any of the host nations within the EU. So we can see a lot more competition going to start coming in from the end of this year.
I mean, is that just something that's therefore change for the remitters in the European space, or is that something that has a global impact?
Well, the regulations apply to the purely to businesses that are based or want to offer services in the EU, but the real benefit will be if you're outside of the EU, instead of having to apply for 27 different licenses and operate in 27 different countries with full staffs, you just have to have one approval and then you can passport that throughout the EU. So it'll be far easier for non-EU based businesses to come in, and I would expect a lot from places like Russia and the United States to be entering Europe as we go towards 2010.
One of the big questions in my mind is that remittances has been quite a hot topic for a couple of years because of the global migration of the economic migrants, in particular the workers moving cross borders. According to Stefan Gorelli just now, 50 million jobs lost worldwide in the last year, a massive contraction, huge unemployment rising. Does that mean that remittances becomes less relevant?
I don't think so. I think when you look at it, you really have to say, where are those 50 million jobs going to be lost? And if you still look at it, what he didn't touch on, we still have this demographic time bomb of people getting older, particularly in the developed markets, and who's going to do the jobs that still need doing in those markets. If you look at a lot of the jobs that the migrants do, it's a lot of blue-collar work and a lot of very low-paid work that the local population tends not to want to do. But because of the earning power of the migrants compared to the country they've left, they will still continue to move. And I don't think we heard anything about a reduction in the income gap between the rich and the poor countries.
Well, final thought then, in that this is an annual conference, and you've been here quite a few years, as have I. Next year we'll be back, PSD will be here. But equally, maybe we'll be looking at other things like microfinance or other areas that we haven't explored in depth this year. What do you think will be the hot topics in a year's time?
Well, in 1 year's time, I hope we're not saying why hasn't PSD had any impact. I actually think we'll be looking more about, from a remittances viewpoint, is some of the new technologies and whether they're really going to have an impact or not. At the moment, we have a lot of schemes, a lot of noise. Nearly everything is domestically based. There's very few examples, except for in the Philippines, of internationally based new ways of doing money transfers, mobile remittances and so on. And I think this year is an important year, and this time next year we'll be evaluating whether they will play a role internationally or not.
Leon Isaacs of Developing Markets Associates, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.